Today, I want to start a new series, new playlist, and I'm going to call it the Distillers Corner, or Distillers Corner. And I got a bunch of ideas, but what I do need is ideas from you guys of things that you want to, for me to look into or whatever. But my idea is bits and pieces of the distilling world that maybe we can dive into just a little bit deeper, but not too scientific. Just a simple explanation of, just a simple way to describe it. That's what I think we need, okay? So if you just want to put your ideas down in the description box, or not the description box, down into the comment box, hey, that would be great. Okay, so what are we going to do today? Well, today we are going to get into hydrometers and refractometers, okay? Specific gravity and ABV. How they work, what we use them for, and some of the limitations maybe that you might not know about, okay? But first things first, welcome to Stillworks and Brewing. My name is Randy, and this is a channel that's all about home distillation and brewing, and boy is it cold today, all right? But before we get started, if you haven't had a chance to, please hit that subscribe button. It really, really, really does help us out. Okay, so now let's get ready to get started. Okay, the hydrometer is one of the most important tools that we got in our toolbox. You can get all you need out of the glass hydrometer, but I like the refractometer. If you use them together, it is the both, it just works out very well for me. So let's check them out, okay? Okay, first we got the glass specific hydrometer. And yours might look the same or might look different. Some of them are color coded, some of them not, just numbered, but basically it's the same thing. Some people call them a triple scale because they do have 3 different scales on it. It has one scale for potential alcohol. It has one for bricks and one for specific gravity. But they're both the same in aspect. Now I got a picture so you might be able to see a little bit better. And how it works is if you take a sample of your wort, mash, or whatever it is, and you drop the hydrometer in there, it's going to float. Now, if I had plain water in there, it's going to float about 1.000. That is the specific gravity of water, right? As you got sugars in there, the density of the liquid is more dense, and it will make this float higher in that liquid, and it will read the how much sugar or whatever you're looking for in that liquid. All right, very simple. And like I said, some smart guy must have figured out how that scale was, but we all use it. Like I said, here's a picture. You got, I don't know, can you see that? Okay, here's the picture. You got your specific gravity reading. You're going to start here with water, and it's going to go down. It is, this right here would be 1.010. And me, myself, I like, for spirits, I like 1.090 in this range. And that works out to about, let's see. I don't think it's 22%. Oh, no, wrong scale. About 12% alcohol. That's bricks over here. Bricks they use a lot in Europe, or a lot of other people use it. I don't particularly use it. So, all right, what's the pros and cons of the glass hydrometer? All right, number one, they're really reliable, okay? They are at 60 degrees Fahrenheit is where they are calibrated at. So there is charts online that you can get to make adjustments to that, but I just go by this. It works fine for me. Okay, so where am I at? All right, they're low cost, $17 to $20, and you could buy more expensive, I think, and I'd probably get a little bit cheaper you want. Easy to do, you drop it in there. I always like to give it a spin, knock any little air bubbles off, and where it floats, you read it, and that's what you got. And like I said, they're very easy to clean, all right? Cons. It's glass. It's real easy to break. I always suggest having two of them because if you have two, you won't break one. If you have one, you will break it. All right. Another con is it kind of takes a large sample to get the job done, but you can put that back in as long as you start sanding it before you put it in there. Alrighty, so that is the glass Pacific Gravity hydrometer. All right. So let's go to the refractometer. That's these. Okay. How does it work? Well, the long and the short story is once you put a drop on this lens here and then you close it, it will bend the light through your sample, and then on the inside you will see. Let me turn it up right. You will see a graph or a chart like this, and what it will do is it'll have a blue line to white line, and wherever the blue and the white meet is what you are reading. So it's very simple to read. All right. And just as before, it's some smart guy figured all this stuff out, some scientist, and he really helped us out a lot. Okay, let's go to the pros and cons of them. Pros, they're very easy to use. It uses a very small sample size, a few drops. I always take a few drops, right? So it's small sample size. It's very easy to clean. Cost-wise, they're about $18 to $22, somewhere in that neighborhood. They're automatic temperature correction, all right, which that is great, and they're easy to calibrate. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Okay, so they're really easy to calibrate. That is the pros. The cons. The only con that I have, if you have your mash and it's fermenting away, boom, 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 and then you want to check the specific gravity, once there's alcohol present in the mash, it really messes with these, so I don't use them after the fermentation has started and there's alcohol present. I will go back to the glass. That's why you need both, right? But as you're making your mash, just works out fantastic. So that is the hydrometers, okay? Now, the next question is, how do you use them? Well, ooh, it's cold. Your first reading when you're making your mash, right, your very first reading, it's going to be called your starting gravity, okay? And this is really, really important. If you have any problems with your mash fermenting or whatever, you need this information. So it's very, very important, all right? And you can also see on the triple scale, when you put it and get a reading, they do have a potential alcohol reading on here. And it'll get you close. It will get you close. So if you were, let's see, 1.90, and you read the scale over, you're looking at, 11.5 to 12% alcohol potential if the yeast eats all the sugar, 100% potential. Okay. All right. The next thing you can use this throughout your fermentation to see where you're at. So if you usually say you're usually a week and you're done, and if it's running a little bit slow, which I think here in my past, I mean, I had the sweet potato ferments, they ran a little bit slow, so you had to double check and this, and you could tell when it's done. All right, so for example, if I started at 1.090 and I got it in my fermentation vessel and I got airlock on top and the bubbles stop, which is just, it's not a tool, it's just an indicator, let's say, and I put this in and it reads 1.000, I know all the sugar is gone in that mash and I know it is fermented out completely. All right, so, but if you really want to get to more exact ABV, all right, that's in that fermentation vessel, you can take your starting gravity minus your final gravity and you times that number by 131.25, it's going to equal your ABV. All right, so that's, it's not that hard to use, but I will say this again because it's very, very, very important. Make sure you always get your starting gravity and write it down somewhere. And if you have any kind of problems, it's going to help you solve those problems. Okay? Okay, so let's move on to our proof and trailing glass hydrometer. Hey, they look alike, don't they? They almost look identical, but they are different. If you look on the charts or the scale, this will go from 0 to 200 proof, and it will go from it goes from 0 to 100%. Okay. So how does this work? Well, basically it works the same way as the density of the liquid, and it will float the same way as the glass hydrometer. Now, just to show you, I hope you can see that. It's just two different scales and it floats. This one here is 0 to 200 proof, and this one is from 0 to 100%. Okay, so very, very simple. All right. So, what's the pros of the glass? Well, there again, it's very easy to clean. All right, it's very easy to use. The cost of them is very low. It's and they're all right around 20, 22, 25 hour range, depending on what you want to get. And again, very, very easy to break. So you might want to own two of them. All right. All right. Cons: they're easy to break, and you need a large sample. Okay, so let's go to our ABV refractometer. Okay, like I said, they look the same, but they are different. Okay, and I do have a picture of it's because it's hard for me to show you the scale. So here's the scale. Let me bring this over, just so you can get a quick view of it. And it goes from 0 to 80%, and they only measure in percent. Okay. All right, so it's a very small sample size, and for me, what I like to do is I like to take an eyedropper, and as my alcohol coming off right off the spout, and I'll take a sample. You see me do it. Take a sample, and that will. There's no smearing or nothing. It gives me the exact time right off the spout. It gives me current time, okay? So like I said, the pros, small sample size. I like to check it right at the spout. They're low cost. Again, $18 to $22 or something like that. I get mine on Amazon. They're very easy to clean, and they're very simple to use. All right. Cons: if there's any sugar present, like if I wanted to check the alcohol of a, say, liqueur or the sugar in it, it messes with it, so you won't be able to do that. So, and that's like a lot of stuff. It's made to do one thing, and it will only go to 80%. 80%. Now, that's still all the way on up, but it will stop at 80%. Okay, but it still works great for me. Okay. Question is calibrations. All right. On you cannot calibrate the only thing you can do with the glass hydrometers, either one, is because they are done at 60 degrees Fahrenheit. That's where they're calibrated at. You can't change that. There is charts online that you can find that will give you a correction factor, okay? Just look that up. But the refractometers, they are calibratable. Is that a word? Calibratable. All right, and it's very easy to do. The way I do it is I take a sample, either specific gravity or alcohol, and all you do is you take this little screwdriver that comes with them, and there's a little hole right here, and as you look through, you can fine tune it, so this is reading exactly what that is, or if you get the correction factor, you tune them in and get them perfect. And like I said before, this is one of the very important tools. Now, you can do everything with the glass, the refractometers. It just makes things a little bit easier, I feel. But like I will say, you spend a lot of time and a lot of money for this hobby. These are just a couple tools. There's a couple more out there, but these are tools that you need to have for the hobby. And they're, like I said many times, they're relatively low cost. They're not too crazy on price, unless you want them to be. I mean, you can go hog wild on stuff if you want it to be, but these are the cheaper side, and they've done me well, okay? All right, and it will help you answer any questions of where you're at, what you're doing, and all that good stuff. So, final thoughts. Again, very, very important. I feel that they're a must-have. At least you got to have the glass, okay? I think it's time to get out of the cold. It's been snowy, cold, bitter cold here for the last couple of weeks. I'm about ready for spring. So all I got left to say is, hey, thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you next time here on Stillworks and Brewing. Hey, and don't forget, you got any ideas for Distillers Corner that you want me to talk a little bit about? Please put it down in the comments, and I'll write them all down on a list, and we'll get to them. Okay? We'll see you next time, guys.